Welcome back to Bash Bros in episode 60 of Notorious Pro Wrestling, the TEW Let's Play series where we find out what exactly would happen if Conor McGregor started his own wrestling promotion. Oh, lads, the Fear No Man PPV. It seems like a lifetime ago we did this one. We will take a look at last year's show. But before we do that, let's take a look at last time you were here. It was the go home show for the pay-per-view, and it was pretty solid, 64. We have been kind of consistently getting 60 and above for a couple of months, pretty much since the start of the year. We'll say roughly since the start of the year. So that's been fantastic. And last time you were here, we got a 64. We were in the Midlands in Priory Centre in Cambridgeshire. And yeah, so all in all, it was a very strong show. The only letdown really would probably be the NIC versus the Billington Bulldogs. But it was an up-and-coming tag team versus a jobber tag team, so not too concerned about that. So last year's show, we scored a 65. That's really good considering that was last year. That's really good. I don't know if we'll be able to beat that. I'd like to think we would get to about the same. But let's take a look at what we had. So we had Dynasty versus the Grizzly Young Vets. Very strong. Both teams are still with us. Dynasty is our current tag team champions, and Grizzly Young Vets were our first tag team champions. So really strong. Killer Kelly versus Riho. Killer Kelly is no longer with us, and Riho is still with us. A bit of a push up the mid card, but yeah, that's all right. 36. Like both. To be fair, Riho has not been as good as I was thinking she would be, but not terrible by any stretch of the imagination. And Killer Kelly had been a bit of a disappointment for us. Kings of the North versus the Cyborg Wolves and Filthy Generation. So all three teams are still with us. Kings of the North are now mid card face team. Cyborg Wolves are now the Light Coast Gym and are a mid-card heel team, and the Filthy Generation haven't really changed. They're still kind of here. Pentagon versus James Storm. Pentagon, our current champion, versus James Storm, who's still knocking about. I'd say he's considered more of like an upper mid-carder now, whereas back then he's definitely a main eventer. And Chris Hero versus Doug Williams to retain the NPW title. That was a career versus title match. This was the first pay-per-view I did custom match cards for, I believe. God, that was a mistake. Yeah, I would produce so much more content at such a faster pace if I stopped doing the pay-per-view match cards. But I kind of love doing them because I'm a big showboat. Yeah, 63, that was a great, 63 was a great match for us back then. It's still a good match for us now, but that was like great. I probably jizzed my shorts myself. Gross. Anyway, yeah, that was on YouTube. That's really good, man. Let's run down the match card then for tonight. Tennille Dashwood has a habit of taking advantage of people. She did it to Zia Brookside, and then she did it to Debbie Keitel. However, Debbie Keitel got revenge, laying waste to Tennille and her rival Martina after tricking Tennille into thinking she had forgiven her. Well, Notorious Pro Wrestling has barely contained these women since. Sneak attack with chairs, brawls backstage, interrupted promos, you name it, it has happened, and Conor McGregor has had enough. As tonight, Debbie Keitel, Martina and Tennille all face each other in a triple threat hardcore match. The proper 12 tournament finals take place tonight as two friends, Ace Austin and Carlos Romo, face off in the finals. These two join forces because they both had the same cocky attitude, and then it just so happened that they seem to be very good as a tag team and have pissed off quite a lot of people in their time together. Chris Hero, Easton Reese and James Storm, to name but a few. When they were both put into their respective blocks in the P12, Ace Austin made the claim he was going to get the clean sweep. And he fucking did it. He fucking did it. Carlos Romo did not have such a easy time though, losing his first match and having to scratch and claw and pull out some of the best matches of his young career. But he did it. He won the Block B of the tournament. But Ace, now having to face his friend, is conflicted. Ace, who had to cheat in every match to get the wins, can he beat Carlos, who has proven to be one hell of a competitor? Throw into the mix, we don't know where Will Hobbs will stand whenever these two come to blows. It makes for one hell of an interesting P12 Finals matchup. Maki, Ito and Riho were once friends, teaming with their mentor Maiko Satomura. Probably not true in real life, but fuck it. These three had a very good partnership until Riho felt like she was being overshadowed by Maki. Maki's antics, for want of a better term, rubbed Riho up the wrong way, and she soon signed pen to paper to join the Grado talent agency. She has had some success since joining, but always due to Grado's interference that she's oblivious to, even getting an upset over Maiko Satomura. Well, Maki has had enough and ended up assaulting Grado with a guitar shot over the head. It has led to Conor McGregor sanctioning this match as Riho takes on Maki Ito tonight with Grado barred from ringside. Aussie Open's beeline to the title continues. They have overcome many obstacles, injuries, former best friends and disgruntled former champions to get this opportunity to face Dynasty tonight. However, the champions don't seem just as focused, constantly wondering what is up with Tessa, who after being injured by Kaylee Ray didn't appear or speak to them for many weeks. Can the champions focus themselves enough to overcome the hungry challengers? We'll find it tonight as Aussie Open take on Dynasty for the NPW tag team titles. Months ago, Kaylee Ray was injured by Tessa Blanchard, leading to her getting a broken forearm. Once Kaylee Ray returned, she was determined to get her pound of flesh, and last month at the pay-per-view did so, breaking Tessa's arm with a baseball bat. We had seen hide nor hair of Tessa until just last week at the latest Notorious Wanted tapings, where she returned with her arm in a cast. And now the long-term rivalry comes to a head as Kaylee Ray looks to take the title from an injured Tessa Blanchard tonight. One of our longest going storylines in Notorious Pro Wrestling history. Or is this the fall of the Master finally? The Master was introduced months and months, maybe even over a year ago, as Jake the Snake Roberts, as Sonico had been sacrificing people to the Master. Once it was revealed to be Jake, Jake then took Penta on a hell of a run, leading to him capturing the NPW title. But then Jake got a bit too attached to the title. He was the one that carried it around, he was the one that brought it out to the ring, and he would scold Penta if anything was to happen to it. This led to Penta splitting away from Jake, who was starting to show a bit more interest in Sonico, the other member of this trio. Finally, Penta and Sonico came to blows though. Although reluctant to do so at first, Sonico did finally end up fighting Jake just last month at the pay-per-view, but Penta was able to overcome the duo. But it wasn't over, as Jake said that this rivalry would not be over until one of them was dead and buried in the ground. Lights out, and Sonico appeared in the ring from a casket, viciously attacking Pentagon, leaving him bloodied inside. And that leads us to the match tonight, as Sonico takes on Pentagon Jr. for the NPW Championship in a casket match. That's it, that is our card. I have no clue how it's going to go because I've never booked a casket match before in this game. So, it could be good, could be bad. I really have no clue. However, I am excited to find out. So, with all that being said and all the guff out of the way, let's book the show. And we are back, coming at you from the Empire Bar in Belfast. It is Notorious Pro Wrestling's Fear No Man. We got like 500 people at this show. Yeah, 526 people. That was mental. I know it's not crazy amounts, but like considering what we have been getting, it's always cool to see. Anyway, regardless of that, yeah, here's the card. So no real issues at all. I just am so curious about how the casket match will go. Really curious. So let's start the show. Backstage promo. Why is it Eddie Dennis? It should be Jen. Interview Jen. Anyway, whatever. Fuck it. Jen, not Eddie, interviews Carlos and Will, and they're like, what's up with Ace? Why isn't it with you? And both guys like, we don't know. We haven't seen him since he walked away from us wanted. No idea what's going on with him. Yeah, this is just kind of established that, Carlos and Will are still friends, and that might play a factor tonight. 46, which is okay. Then in a pre-show match, Epitaph defeated Dean Allmark and the Billington Bulldogs in 14:34. Dean had a 40, Thomas had a 29, Mark had a 30, Oshin had a 45, Charlie had a 45, and Eddie had a 50. So all of them are okay apart from Eddie, which was good. Now into the main event. Ugh. Right, in a good match, Riho defeated Maki Ito in 15:24 with a handful of tights. So, yes, Maki had a 61 and Riho had a 44. They have great chemistry, which is awesome. And Maki benefited from having crowd support. 54 rated match, which is good. So, right, yeah, so the storyline throughout this match is pretty much Maki just can't bring herself to put Riho away with her finisher. And that leaves her open to the roll-up and for Riho to grab a handful of tights. Slightly disappointing in Riho. I know Riho's only really been pulling out 44s, and it's disappointing, to be honest. Maki's awesome. Still, there's no way to, like, she's awesome. That's 61 there. But still a good match overall. So yeah, this will kind of be the blow-off for this for a while. They will meet again a wee bit further down the line, but that is the blow-off for this. 54 rated match. Next up, in a superb match, Dynasty defeated Aussie Open in 17:51 when Davey Boy Smith pinned Cal Fletcher with a Bulldog Bomb following an interference from Natalya Neidhart. And that makes defense number 4 for the tag titles. Yes, you read that right. We'll get to that. Kyle had a 60, Mark had a 60, Davey Boy had a 59, Joe had a 59, and a bunch of bonuses. Joe and Davey have got a tag team bonus now. That's pretty cool. I don't know if they had that before. That's cool. Yes. Natalya Neidhart debuts. So the whole idea here is that after Tessa pretty much told them to get the fuck over themselves, and if they need her, maybe they need the title. So they came up with a plan B. This was their plan B. Natalya Neidhart. I had said previously that I wasn't going to bring her in. However, she retired and became a manager, and her entertainment skills have gone up since I last saw her. Now, I wouldn't make her the manager for Tessa. Tessa is a better talker than her. However, for Davey Boy Smith and for Zia, she will help them. Not so much Joe. Joe seems to be on par or as good as or better than her, but definitely for Davey Boy and for Zia, she'll be their mouthpieces. Post-match, agents have to pull off Dynasty from beating the shite out of Aussie Open as Natalya poses and celebrates with the faction. Most of the faction. Before her match, Martina enters as the Session Goth rather than the Session Moth. If anyone is aware of Irish wrestling, this is like the persona Martina goes into whenever she has a hardcore match, is the Session Goth. It's actually worth a giggle. It's quite funny. 62 rated segment, which is awesome. In a bout that had great heat and good wrestling, Tenille Dashwood defeated Debbie Keitel and Martina when Tenille pinned Debbie with a roaring elbow. Debbie had a 51, Martina had a 57, and Tenille had a 59. Overall, a 58 rated segment. Yeah, I decided to go with Tenille on this. Just because I think that she's slightly better than Martina. And although it'll be heel versus heel, I am going to introduce a face into this feud. Plus, there's the history there with Tenille and Zia too, to make a feud between Tenille and Tessa. Very interesting. So 58 rated segment. Next up, and about that had fantastic heat and great wrestling, Tessa defeated Kelly Ray by submission with a figure 4 after blatant cheating. And this makes defense number 4 for Tessa. Kelly Ray had a 59 and Tessa had a 60. Overall a 59 rated match, which is good. So the cheating in this would be Tessa using her cast to pretty much knock out Kelly Ray. Yeah, that's kind of the story throughout this, is although Kelly is targeting the arm, Tessa uses her cast, which is like a hard cast, to lay out Kelly Ray. So yeah, a 59 rated match. It's just shy of being awesome, but still very good. Next up, in an exceptional match, Ace Austin defeated Carlos Romo using the ropes for leverage. That's not what happens. I put a cheap finish, but Ace Austin wins the P12. Ace had a 66 and Carlos a 61. Awesome from both guys. And a 64 rated segment. That could be higher, but this is technically heel versus heel still. Yeah, so actually, rather than using the ropes for leverage, he would use his cane, the cane shot, Carlos Romo. And Will would be like, what the fuck, dude? What are you doing? So yeah, 64 is awesome. Guys, like, both guys are like, Ace is like 22 and Carlos is like 27. Both guys are not even 30 yet, and they're pulling out like a 64. That's dope. Post match, Ace is celebrating with the trophy, and Carlos is kind of lying there like, what the fuck just happened? Will's getting in his face like, dude, what are you doing? He's our friend. You just laid him out with a cane shot. And Ace goes outside, takes the table that the trophy was on, brings it in, sets it up, and demands that Will power bombs Carlos through the table. Will's like, no, I'm not doing that. Like, he's our friend. And Ace slaps him and tells him, I pay your checks, not him, not NPW, me. Fucking do it, or you're fired. Will, clearly raging about this, but begrudgingly picks up Carlos and power bombs him through the table as Ace celebrates. And we will turn Carlos babyface, and it worked. Awesome. So yeah, 60 segment overall, which is awesome. I mean, Ace is a good talker, but not phenomenal. I'm so happy about their match, though. I had no idea if it was going to go well or not. Then in the main event, and about to have fantastic heat and great wrestling, Pentagon defeated Sonico in a casket match when Sonico was trapped. Pentagon making defense number 9 for Pentagon. 60 from Sonico, which is awesome, and 60 from Pentagon, which is 64 for Pentagon, which is awesome as well. And Jake did good work at ringside. 64 rated match. Super happy with that. Wasn't sure how it was going to go, but 64 I am very happy with. Post match, Pentagon grabs Jake before he can run away, decks him. We'll just say hits him with a punch. Don't want to hurt Jake, and rolls him into the casket with Sonico. Probably don't think that would work, but fuck it. There's be a false bottom on it or something. And then Pentagon sets fire to the casket. So you know the caskets are usually like laid just beside the ring apron. So the closing shot of Fear No Man is Pentagon Jr. posing over a flaming casket, raising his title. Tell me that is not metal as fuck. Tell me that is not a fucking class. So there should usually like a false bottom on those things, so like they could, you know, Jake and Sonico could drop down to safety, and then like, yeah, Pentagon could just be like, ow, or something along those lines. 64 segment, which is awesome. 67, awesome. That's as good as our best previous show. Man, we can just not break that 67 mark, can we? But that's awesome, yeah. Super happy with that. So, news coming out of Not Wanted, Fear No Man, is that Tom Campbell's contract is coming up. We'll take a look. If there's anyone better than Tom, we'll hire them. But at the minute, I think between him, Andy, and Sean Waltman, our commentary team is as good as it's going to get, to be honest. So, but we'll take a look. That is it for another week, folks. If you enjoyed this episode, please subscribe to the channel and leave a like on this particular episode. If you have any ideas for storylines, tag teams, feuds, or whatever, please leave them in the comments and I will try book it for you. But yeah, with all that being said, I will see you next time on Bash Bros.